Good evening. I just said that in the manner of a newscaster whilst drinking Merlot. Although, who was it that said wanker today on Breakfast TV? Might be a day for that. Well, a very good evening and a warm welcome to the Katie's Arms. I do hope you're well. I'm checking in to see that you can actually hear me, because we had these times when you're not allowed to hear me. And in fact, that is still somewhat true. If you are joining hoping to get all the scoop on what's just gone on in my life, we can't do that just yet. I am contractually obligated to shut my mouth. But let me promise you this here at the Katie's Arms. As soon as I'm not contractually obligated to shut my mouth, and for those individuals policing me this evening, you know who you are, then I will spill the beans, all of the beans, with emails and all sorts of things that I need to share to you. Footage, clips I've taken, you would not believe. So that is coming one day in the Katie's Arms, but it just can't come just yet. But what I can say is, yes, I'm back in the UK, and I can say, yes, I was definitely in Australia. And I can also say thank you. Thank you to everybody for all of your kindness. Thank you for the emails. Thank you for the sweet things people have sent. There's been a lot of other, but it's always the kindness that I end up hearing, or that I can take the time to hear. So thank you very much to anybody that's bothered to write an email or a note or just have a kind thought. I appreciate it. And yes, it's been rough, but I thought what might be great in this Katie's Arms is not to talk about me at all, really, in the sense that we should talk about the other thing that matters a lot more, which is a whole load of messages and emails I've had over the last few days. I think because people can kind of relate to how extreme things have got, possibly in my life of late, and people writing in to tell me that they can't cope anymore. I had a breakdown after Christmas. I've overcome it now, but I'm at breaking point again and wondering what's the fucking point anymore. Makes me sick to my stomach, all this coercive bullshit. I will end it all myself before I take that clot shot. I just don't see the point. I won't ever get it. And it strikes me that these are the individuals who should be being heard. I'd like to say at this point, before I read a couple more of these, thank you for sending them, thank you for sharing them. And obviously I don't disclose personal information. But I'd like to say to any of the influencers or famous faces or accepted faces on any of our TV screens, people that turn up on things like Comic Relief or whatever, where the hell are you? Where the hell are you if you said you were a mental health ambassador? Where the hell are you if you said you were you were proud to be a patron for a mental health charity? Where the bloody hell are you? And why are you so happy to shut up about it now? You know, Joe Wiley talking on the radio today about festivals without mentioning the fact that young people are expected to get a vaccination to go on. And love you, Joe, but where are you? I just think the cowardice is overwhelming. I wanted to read you this. Unfortunately, this lady is not alone, the one we just heard from. I had a bad spell around Christmas and January and was just getting more positive about things. Now I have to say I share 100% those sentiments. I've researched methods of taking my own life. I was never depressed, nor had any inclination of ever doing something like this. But I'm not being coerced into having the clot shot, as it's been brilliantly labelled, and I'm not living in an anti-science twilight zone of an existence where one can be alive but not live. Ooh, it gives me the shivers. So heartbreaking to read so many people suffering. I nearly lost my daughter due to mental health last year. Lockdowns and restrictions nearly finished her off. She dropped to under 4 stone in weight and had to be sectioned and put on a refeeding programme. I don't know if any of you know what that's like, these refeeding programmes, but that's quite a polite term for it. She was on the verge of cardiac arrest and organ failure. 10 months later, we're still fighting to get mental health therapy. She doesn't get out of bed or care about herself. All this bullshit frustrates the absolute hell out of me, and anyone who blindly follows this tyranny, in my eyes, is helping cause the damage to our human race and the mental health of our loved ones. So these messages are coming in thick and fast, and, you know, as much as I like to say I'm a one-woman army, and I still think I am, I don't know how to best help. So I thought I would just share it here, remind everybody that this platform is your platform. If you feel like this, and so many people do, millions of people do, please find each other on here, because you'll know better than I know what to do. But I did get this message as well. Katie, we strengthen, we endure, we prevail. I remember this, Katie's Arms. 3 simple concepts that have kept me going. I can't tell you how much this helped me when you posted your video saying it. Through physical training and mental discipline, I found myself going back to your video where you talked about this. You'll remember I was banging on about, we strengthen, we endure, we prevail, right? But anyway, this gentleman found it helpful. I know you were in the army, so this might be a concept you got taught there. I don't think, we weren't specifically taught that, but I guess going through Sandhurst and, you know, being the coldest you'll ever be, being the most in pain you'll ever be, being the most miserable you'll ever be, and then being told you're an utter twat helps with being told you're an utter twat or, you know, deported, whatever might have happened in someone else's life. I thought it would be good if we could have a refresher today on your life. Oh, no, on your life. Life and live. Could no one have just spelt those 2 things differently? I would love to hear more about these 3 simple truths. I'm sending you a virtual hug. Well, thank you, my love. I will pay all these hugs back in person. As anybody who meets me in the street will know, it's a very physically violent affair. So that's what I thought we would do in response to the hundreds and hundreds of people telling me they don't want to go on anymore, which I completely understand. And it's not sympathy I have with that. I really respect it, because actually it takes courage to make a rational decision not to go on. It takes courage to end your life, and I don't want people to do that, because if you've got the courage to do that, I know that you've got the courage to go on. So I thought we would just revise my strategies for coping, which have been tested a little of late. But you'll know that I have these ways, and I thought I'd share them, and then you can see what you think. So the first thing I think is this Instagram feed can be really helpful, and I've seen it already in action, because someone will share their story like today or yesterday, and then a bunch of other people will pile on in and say what they think, not the unkind people, and not the ones that just come on here just to tell me, you know, I look terrible or they hope I'm dead, and that's all fine. But when it comes to people sharing how they feel, I think there's a respect for that, and people try and help each other. So my first request, I suppose, or thought is that this is a partnering place, right? And not in a cheap, although it would be great if it was like a Grindr, but not in a religious sense, because that bishop was just caught using Grindr, I think, and not necessarily in a dating sense, although we have suggested that before. But this can be like a partnering place where you share, I feel like shit, I'm researching ways to kill myself, I don't want to carry on, because a lot of us get that. None of us want to carry on if life's going to be up. Well, I personally wouldn't want to carry on with a life if we're not going to be able to live it. I totally get it. But this could be a partnering place. And the reason I get this is when I used to have massive seizures, like massive epilepsy, I call them fits, and I'm going to continue to do that. It's not, you're not allowed to use the word fits, but they can fuck off because they were my fits. So I used to dislocate my arms with my seizures. So they used to come out of their sockets, and I had to have them relocated. And an ambulance crew would arrive at, say, 3 a.m, get me out of the house with dislocated arms and take me to the hospital to relocate my arms. And my point here, and I'm getting to it, and I know we all say I waffle on, but tonight I'm trying to actually be a bit focused, is that if you partner with someone who does have the bandwidth, they can help you. And what I mean by that is when both my arms were out, dislocated shoulders are quite up there in pain threshold senses. Like I would give childbirth a 2 and a dislocated arm like a 12 out of 10. So you partner with the ambulance crew, and because they have the bandwidth, because they're not in pain, you almost lie and look at them and think, look how brilliant they can function because they don't have pain. And I think that's true for this. So if you're in pain, you have to partner with someone who's able or has the bandwidth to help you. Just like with dislocated arms, you partner with an ambulance driver, right? So partnering. Number 2 is the sucking in thing. And I don't mean suck in, and I don't mean suck it up. Like I would always say, oh, for God's sake, don't be such a wuss, suck it up. Oh, suck it up. Oh, stop moaning, suck it up. I don't mean that at all. What I mean is, right, we spend a lot of time doing this, right? And we push out stuff, right? We're speaking to someone, we're communicating with someone, we're on a WhatsApp thing here, we are making sure someone else is okay, we're making sure we've got that done, is that organised for later? We're pushing out, pushing out, pushing out. And sometimes when you feel like, holy shit, I actually don't know if I want to do this anymore, you've got to make a discipline that goes, bollocks to everything else, I'm going to suck in. And I don't know if you've ever watched Apollo, where they go up and then there's an explosion and then they have to go to the limb. And there's this bit where they say, power up the limb. Power up. I obviously can't act. And they have to shut off all of the power, right? In order to conserve power in the limb. Stay with me, even if you don't like space or Apollo. Or that twat Bezos going into space. What a prank. Did you see him in that awful jumpsuit? For fuck's sake. Sort of semi kind of homoerotic Bezos rubbing himself up on an Amazon box while he flies vaguely into space. Ugh. Anyway, I digress. We're going to power up the limb. I've paused the Tokyo opening Olympic ceremony for you. I bloody hope so, darling, because that thing looks like a bag of old shit, and this is much more interesting than watching a couple of dopey prats go around with a face mask on. If I was an athlete at the Olympics, you think I'd have a face mask on? Fuck right off. Anyway, so we're going to power up the limb, and my point is you need to cut off all the things that are taking your energy, your power, and you need to power up the limb, right? So see yourself as a little limb and power up your... Fuck off, Olympics. You need to power up the limb. Yes, and you are the limb, and you are going to power it up, and you are going to land safely back down on Earth. And so anything that you feel tomorrow, oh, is that taking my energy away from me? Do I need to speak to Vera from the local school group who wants to tell me that I parked wrongly? No, I don't. Thanks, Vera. Off a tea piss. I just threw my pen. Hold on, I've got to get it. Right, I've got my pen back. I was busy telling Vera to piss off, but now I've got my pen. So, tell her to piss off. So somebody else, oh, could you please drop or pick or do this? Or no, sorry, no, piss off. I'm powering up the limb. And maybe you can even just tell people, no, sorry, not today, darling. I'm powering up the limb. Just, okay, let some other people deal with that shit. Just disengage, because a lot of it's just noise. Okay, suck in. 3, strengthen. So I know I'm a bit of a, training, Nazi. Can I say Nazi? I'm known for being a Nazi. Is it okay if I call myself a Nazi? Don't know. Anyway, so we know I'm a bit of a training Nazi, but that's the strengthen thing. But that's not, people say, how do you do this? How do you get fit? It doesn't matter. All you have to know is what's your strengthening thing, right? So that could be speaking to someone that you like. That could be, hold on, because I did do prep to talk to you, my darlings. I know we did do waffling on a lot, but this could be ordering nice food. I mean, obviously, if you're 450 stone overweight, just do it for a little bit of time till you feel better. Or just eat it, but maybe just shut the curtain so no other bastard can see. Whatever, maybe you're going to spend 4 hours in a bath. Maybe you're going to take an extra long wee and not care. Maybe you're going to lock yourself in the bathroom and pretend you're not there at all. Maybe you hide from your own children. I don't know, but think power up the limb and think strengthen. And whatever makes you feel stronger, do lots of that, really selfishly. And I say this especially to women, and I know men do lots and are selfless, and that's marvellous, and I love men very much. But women in particular feel guilty when they do something for themselves. It's like really weird. You pop like a child out of your vagina and then you decide that you're never allowed to have anything for yourself again. And that's actually bullshit. No one ever said that just because you push something out your vagina, you're never allowed to have something for yourself again. Lots of women I know don't even have the time to have a little poop for themselves. Like they literally think, I haven't got time for a poop because I've got a baby. You have, take the time. And if having a poop for a bit long, you see how long boys take to have a poop? There's a reason girls don't do that, because we feel guilty. Take your time, have a long poop. If that's self-care, that's what you're going to do. So, strengthen by doing things you like. So true. Ain't that the truth? Yes, girlfriends, it is. We all go, oh, don't men spend so long on the loo? No, it's just that we aren't lazy bastards and we feel guilty perpetually because once we had a child pushed out of our vagina. Not moaning at boys at all, I love men. Endure. Now, there is a list going on. You're probably losing track, darling. What do you mean I'm frozen? I go and sit on the bathroom floor and watch a movie. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You've got to sit down and just go, This is, you don't have to make that noise and you don't have to go, Either that's weird. But you're going to go, this is a selfish moment. Open a whole bottle of wine and drink the whole thing. There were more deaths from alcohol poisoning in 2020 than there have been for the last decade. But you know what? I say, as long as you're feeling fine about it, if that's how you're going to get through the day, darlings, that's what you're going to do. Now, endure. So this is the next thing. I will do a revision. Hold on. 1:15. I'm going to do a revision, like in the way they do a TED Talk. I'm going to take you back through the main points, right? Yes, you've got to... Someone just put, guys, delete Hopkins. Imagine, little man, you've come to my feed because you've got all the choices in the world about what you could be doing with your time right now. You could be having sex, you could be having food, you could be going out for a run, you could be having a pint with your mates if you had some, but you're actually on my feed because I own you, I control you, and I'm in your head, and I don't even know your name. Endure. So this is the bit that I go to a lot, right? Endure is like when things are tough, and then you go in, like as if you're driving a car, right? And then you go to a hill, and the hill's really big, so you go down a gear. So I literally, when I'm running, I also do that in my head. I go, right, down a gear, right? But when it's hard, like say I'm running and then it hails, I go, okay, then down a gear. Okay, so now there's 14 border force, just say if that was to happen in a life of someone, 14 border force come to get me outside a hotel room at say 2 a.m, if that, you know, were that to just randomly happen to someone, not me, you go, come on then. And that, I'm not saying we always feel like that, but I am saying if you can do that, okay then, it's really great. And I think that's probably one of the things, you know, even if you can't stand me, you can see that I've done that quite a bit in my life. So like the epilepsy, right? Come on then, dislocate my legs too, try it. Or, you know, people coming to kill me. Come on then, I'm going to face you down in Parliament Square. You know, I think you have to, my first husband who left me less than a year of marriage with 2 children under the age of 2. Come on then, I'll go on The Apprentice. So do that. So that's about endurance. And the thing I wanted to say, I suppose, is I know that you have this in you as well. There's this saying that says sometimes you've just got to throw yourself off. And I don't mean this in a suicidal way for the people that say they want to end it all. Don't jump off. But they say if you throw yourself, and this is my thing about throwing yourself to the wind, right? Your wings will unfurl on the way down. So don't relate this to suicidal tendencies, because that's important we clarify. But if it's just in terms of digging in and going, okay, what else have you got, you bastards? That's it. Throw yourself at them and your wings will unfurl on the way down. And that's been true for me every single time, actually. It's always happened. I've always found my wings just when the noise is at its worst. And then you kind of coast through it. Hence I'm here today. So that's endure. Now the next one is important to me, which is about prevailing. It's because we did strengthen, you endure, you prevail, right? But prevailing, I love the word prevail as well. But things like noise. So let's just say you were in the middle, let's pretend you were in the middle of a media shitstorm. Let's just say lots of people were writing headlines about you that had nothing to do with what actually went on. Let's just say. So prevailing noise, like media shitstorm noise, right? That doesn't prevail. You know, give it a week. Even in your own life, let's just say you're hated at the moment at the school gates or something. I don't know, what would be a group of people? Maybe your WI group are being bastards. It won't prevail, like that noise won't last long. It lasts for a little moment while everyone gets excited, like a baby having a tantrum, and then it will go away. So what you need to do is find things that will prevail. So like I think rocks and stones and coastlines, prevailing, right? Memories, they prevail. Elderly people, find a bloody old person and talk to them. Old people are epic at this shit because they've prevailed through like wars, famines, they've prevailed through losing people, they've prevailed through, bloody take a walk in a cemetery. You know, some of these dudes died at 35 and already they had family and people that loved them and made an impact. I mean, brilliant. So, and I'm not saying if you're feeling suicidal, walk in the cemetery might not be your perfect afternoon. I'm just saying there's things out there that make you see that things have prevailed much longer and greater than us. Well, I also wrote penguins. I'm unclear why I did that. I think it's because if you watch a video of penguins, it's surprising, that's it. I knew there was a thought. It's surprising that penguins have prevailed, isn't it? Because really, they're just like little black retards, aren't they? They don't even have proper legs. They don't even have arms. They can't talk and they can't run and they can't really fly that well. So basically, penguins are just baby black retards and yet they've prevailed. So I guess my point is, if a penguin can prevail, so can we. That might not help you right now when you're feeling really terrible, but go with it. Now, this is my favourite one, and this is much more me. Katie, your pen. Well, thank you. I know about this peng thing because my daughter's taught it to me, although it's quite a long time ago. I feel like peng is dated. I don't know what peng is now. Escape. This is also really, really important. And we are getting to the end. This is number 7. And the list is only 9 strong. So only 2 to go. Escape. Really important that you take moments to escape from the madness, right? That can be laughing. That can be dancing in the dark. That can be drink or drugs, you know, because you've got to do what you've got to do to get by. I'm not here promoting drink or drugs, you know, Instagram. I'm just saying you've got to do what you've got to do. And don't worry really about being judged, because the world's a very judgy place. So if people want to judge someone for not putting something on their freaking face, they're going to have a, you know, apoplectic fit over the fact that maybe you're having a drink or taking drugs. So don't worry about being judged. Do whatever you've got to do to escape. I would suggest, and I did this recently, getting on the back of a motorbike. I mean, ideally you need a driver. Don't just sit there in a car park on the back of a bike on your own, because that'd be a bit shit. I wore a t-shirt and shorts and I jumped on the back of a bike and sped around with all my clothes flailing in the wind. And if I'd come off of that bike, that would have been it. And I loved every minute of it because it was on the precipice of life. Or maybe you could get a tattoo. Have you been thinking? I bet you, many of you, you'd love to see me naked. You wouldn't, darling. And contrary to popular headlines of late, that isn't how I answer doors. Tattoos. Many of us have been thinking about getting tattoos. I bet you. I can feel it. I can feel it in the buzzing, humming lines that you can tune into when you're around ordinary people. I'm thinking of getting a tattoo on my arse saying, deport this. If you're a tattoo artist and you fancy tattooing, deport this, probably quite small, on my arse. My arse isn't actually that big. So anyway, we'll talk. Tell me, message me, katie@katiehopkins.co.uk. So escape. Number 8, hold on. Yes, remember how I always tell people to hold on? I mean it though. I'm thinking maybe you get a little ribbon and you tie it around your wrist or your mirror, something you look at when you go past it, and just that little ribbon goes, hold on. So even when you're feeling really, really, really shit and you think, I really can't do this anymore, you just remember, hold on for just one more day, because people like me and others out here on the pointy end of the spear are going to fix this. Fuck knows how, but we are. And lastly, darlings, is my husband. And then I promised to talk to you. I promised. Oh, can I pay you to do that tattoo? You don't need to pay me. No one really pays me for how I live my life. I just do it. People say I'm undercover Mossad. No. Some people say I work for Putin. I'd love to. And some people say I'm controlled opposition. Just which bit of me is controlled? My mouth, really? If I was controlled opposition, I'd like to see who's got the controls. Someone having a frickin' seizure. Anyway, my last thing is my husband. I just wanted to say thank you to my husband, not only for enduring me, but brilliantly for all the people who've been writing in over the last, 3 or 4 days when things got a little bit noisy out there. My husband, so people would write in and say they hoped I died, or they were going to come and burn us down or stab me, or, all the things that somebody like me who doesn't really have a right to report because I'm me. So my husband would do this email back, and I'm hoping some of you will have, I legitimately hate you. I really hope that you got one of my husband's emails. So he writes back when someone says, I'm going to come and stab you and burn your house down and do this to your children. He writes back, thank you very much for your email of support for Katie. We've added you to the supporters database, and we thank you so much for your kind words. If you want to unsubscribe from the Katie Hopkins fan list, you can unsubscribe when you receive your first supporters pack. So my husband has been sending that out to people who send in the unkindness. And if there's anything that drives them more apoplectic than the fact they've just sent me a message saying they're going to kill me, it's my husband telling them that we're sending them a supporters pack. And then they imagine, you know, that they've been added to a list. And then they imagine, because a lot of these people are school teachers or work in hospitals or, you know, public sector, they imagine, what's going to happen when my name gets put on this Katie Hopkins supporters list? What's that going to look like? Anyway, so those are my things. Let me recap in the manner that I promised, because I want to be one of those good people that does what they say. Partnering, be on this Insta family. Let other people help you. Like the ambulance men helped me when my arms were out of sockets, because when you're not in pain, you're so much better able to function than someone who's in pain, whether that's physical or just, well, it is physical. All of this is physical. 2, suck in. Remember, you're the Apollo limb. You're going to power down and tell Vera to fuck off. Okay? 3, strengthen. So this is about whatever it is that makes you strong, which I said that, you say, I don't know. Someone suggested sitting in your bathroom pretending you're not in, watching a movie on your own. Brilliant. Add wine to that, maybe, and chocolate. So strengthen what makes you feel a bit better, even if it's just for a little minute. Maybe have a long poop, we discussed. Endure. So there's a thing that you might be able to, in your head, imagine, if you still used shift stick, what do we call this? Gears. Shift down to first and go, come on then, what have you got? And imagine, you know, I imagine myself sometimes with my hands behind my back and they come and punch me in the face. And okay, you go down for a minute, but then you get back up and look at them with your nose broken and ask them to punch you again. It's like that. You need to get there, right? We have to get to the point where we're always standing back up and asking them to punch us again. Prevail. So this was surrounding yourself with things that prevail. I suggested penguins, but we discussed that small black retards might not be that helpful. Escape. Try and find an escape. Back of the moped, back of a bike, drink drugs. We're not obviously, you know, doing an advert for drink or drugs. Back of a tattoo, back of a bike, or getting a tattoo. I'm sure that this tattoo is going to happen in the next couple of months. And finally, hold on. So remember, tie something on you, maybe make a little thing that reminds you to hold on, or come to this Instagram and ask someone to help you hold on. So that's what I wanted to say. And I've got through my list, so I'm quite proud of myself. Prevail, yes. Stop saying the R word. I don't even know what the R word is. Right? I don't know. Someone would have to help me. I'm on the Rioja. Yes, good for you. Ignore the haters. I do a pretty good job of that, to be honest. I don't listen to them too much. Also, there's been quite a lot going on to be able to hear them. And also, I know that there's people out there who don't have a voice, and I feel a responsibility. I'm just looking for the message from Melbourne in Australia. Not that any of us have been removed from Australia recently, but I'm in Melbourne, where we've endured the harshest lockdown. I'm isolated, I'm burnt out, I'm disgusted at the way people are conforming. I don't want my children and I forced into putting something into our bodies. My beautiful friend took her life in October, and it hurts my heart knowing she could have still been here if we weren't locked away. Humans need connection, and everything they're doing is stripping us of our lives, our freedoms and our choices. At times I wonder why we bother going on. It's heartbreaking. And this is enough for me, you see, to know that everything was for reasons that are about helping people find voice and have voice. We must go on because we will strengthen, to endure, to prevail. And I know for certain that if you are trying to do the right thing and all you want is not about politics or anything, it's just for people to live the happiest and best lives they can live, if that's all you're trying to get to, then you're never going to be in the wrong, and you're always going to be in the right. And that is enough to keep most of us going. And if you need to sit back and let others help you along, that's perfectly fine too, because there's people like me who are perfectly happy at the pointy end of this spear. So you can hold on to us. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us here at Katie's Arms. I feel like we're an us now, because we get messages from South Africa and LA and all over the place. So thank you very much. We will do this again next week, and maybe next week we'll do some proper question and answers, and I will try and answer you a little more faithfully. This is why I suppose this is the element. This feels more and more like radio that I used to know. And all I'm missing is to be able to have callers and to speak to you and let you talk for yourselves. That's probably the thing I miss. Okay, so have a good evening. Chin up. And remember, if there's one thing you take from that list, is to find a moment of escape for yourself and try to feel better. Okay, I'll see you all next week.